I have one simple question. What is your best D&D story? Leave yours down in the comments below. Us D&D players can never really get enough. Whether you play 3 times a week or once a month, part of you always craves more. We get our fix however we can, by watching short stories online, D&D live streams, Baldur's Gate. Well, allow me to offer you something new. The best available follows a party of new adventurers trying to make a name for themselves in hopes of being sponsored in a competition. Waterdeep's Festival of Heroes, which sees the chosen parties delving into the depths of Undermountain, risking life and limb to suppress the evils and monsters below to protect the city above. The Dungeon of the Mad Mage is filled with danger, treasure, glory, and mysteries yet to be revealed. Come watch the journey from humble beginnings into heroic legend as we adapt a campaign years in the making into an illustrated web series with art from Doodle Poodle, author of Tales from the Tables. We pride ourselves in converting hours-long sessions into smoothly paced episode with limited animation, music, blood, sweat, and tears. Get in on the ground floor of something great and join the Forever DM's table today. Link in the description. As a DM, my favorite tool is what I call the warning shot. Fortunately, it's exactly as sinister as it sounds. My warning shots led to 2 of the funniest moments I've ever had at the gaming table. Firstly, I present to you the Druid's Fungophobia. The entire campaign took place in the Underdark, and the party was investigated a series of mass disappearances at the behest of a local drow princess. The party had uncovered a few clues and were searching for a local alchemist at a small farm village. Of course, underground the farms grow mushrooms. This becomes relevant soon. The party enters the large cavern and are immediately greeted by a sign that says, "Do not converse with the fungus." Well, of course, our group's druid marches right up to a mushroom and uses druidic to talk to it. Mushroom-possessed zombies rise from the fields. Chaos erupts, and I'm trying not to laugh. Party proceeds to crit fail and roll trash the whole fight. Nearly a TPK with vanilla human zombie stats. Druid swears off druidic and absolutely refuses to be in the same room as a mushroom. Drows, on the other hand, fucking love mushrooms. He once punched a woman offering him free food out of pure distrust. For those still reading, here's my personal favorite. I call it, Our Ranger Becomes an Atheist. The campaign is irrelevant to the story, but let me set the scene for you. Our paladin worshipped the Raven Queen. The paladin prays for guidance in battle. Rolls a nat 20 on a religion check. Ravens blacken the sky in honor of his devotion. A raven lands near the paladin to caw its approval. Our group's ranger, I wanna touch it. That's a fucking demon. Do not touch the demon. I'ma touch it. The ranger rolls an animal handling check despite the party begging him not to. His roll is irrelevant. Though I cooked this bird up on the fly, I fully intended it to be a literal piece of the Raven Queen. Raven lands on the ranger's arm, and the limb turns rotting and necrotic for a brief moment before the bird hops off and his arm goes back to normal. I'ma touch it again. The party screams in anger. Are you sure you want to do that? This man has had every chance to turn back. The ranger insists that he can get a better roll, so he tries the check again. And the same thing happens. Raven mounts arm turns necrotic, and the bird dismounts. Only this time, his arm does not return back to normal. Our bow-wielding ranger now has only one good arm. TLDR version, don't do stupid shit if your DM gives you a chance to change your mind. My best moment was in the Out of the Abyss campaign, possible spoilers, in which I was an ASMR ranger. We had just come up to the plateau in the Mushroom Grove place. A demon thing rose out of the ground, rotten and filthy. A few corrupted myconids flanked us. It was looking like we should retreat. Then I started shooting my longbow. First I shot twice at the big monster, who I had placed Hunter's Mark on in a previous turn, in which I also activated my ASMR ability. flight, and extra damage for 1 minute. I critted, not once, but twice. Radiant light surrounded my arrows and smashed into the monster, doing a total of 42 and 30 damage apiece. Colossus Slayer and Hunter's Mark are doubled by crit. Then the Myconids closed with me. I threw down my longbow and got out my hand axes. I had the dual-wielding feat, and critted 3 times. I sliced those buggers in half, and that was pretty much the end of the encounter. And why we love rangers here, or at least I do. I was playing Krusk, the 7-foot-tall half-orc barbarian with 22 strength and 6 charisma. Our party had captured an enemy, and the talkers of the group were trying to interrogate him, without a whole lot of luck. So I had Krusk walk up to the prisoner, who was tied to a chair, and proceeded to roll a 3 for my intimidate check. The prisoner literally pees his pants and says, Okay, I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
But I rolled a 3, and I have a -2 charisma bonus with no ranks in intimidate.
You're a giant half-orc with muscles bigger than this guy's head. You could belch in his direction and he'd be intimidated. There is one good one that I had recently about my character scaring off some opportunistic treasure hunters on Symbiorum. But I think this story is even better. My friend, Justin, started a campaign with the Mists of Akuma setting, which is a steampunk fantasy samurai setting. So my group of adventurers and I were going to break up a slaver ring, which was in this building with several stories, basically like a dungeon, which was ran by 3 brothers. We were hiding behind a wall and some guards were coming up on us. So I came up with the risky plan of pretending that one of my friends was super drunk and needed help. I didn't think Justin was anticipating that we'd take this route, but he wanted to see where it went, so he allowed it. We ended up rolling well, and we fooled the guards into thinking my friend needed help because of how shit-faced he was. We took him to one of the brothers, and we ended up fooling him as well. After a while of this, we ended up taking out 2 of the brothers. Sadly, it failed once we got to the home stretch of freeing the slaves and getting rid of the last brother. But we befriended one of the people who was running the place, and he was a decent guy who got caught up in this mess. We let him go along with the slaves. I had just gotten a new group together, and they wanted to play D&D, but it had been a while since I had GM'd a game. Well, in order to go ahead and get things going, I grabbed the free, pre-published adventure, The Burning Plague. Little did I know at the time how prophetic this title would turn out to be. We got through the intro and into the cave that the PCs were sent to investigate, and the players come across their first major obstacle, a door.
Can we open it?
Can't, it's locked.
What's it made out of?
Wood.
Wood burns, right?
So they set fire to the door, and once it's mostly char and ash, they easily kick it down. Of course, since this has taken a good long while to accomplish, the kobolds in the room on the other side have had plenty of time to flip tables over, arm themselves, and generally get in optimal fighting positions. Well, the players bust on in anyway, find what little cover they can, and amazingly manage to survive long enough for one of the kobolds to run out of arrows. The poor little fella jumps over the barricade for a charge and gets slaughtered by our intrepid heroes moments later.
Can we set the kobold on fire?
Hold on. What? They were dead serious, and after a bit of discussion, they doused the kobold with lamp oil, lit it, and tossed the fiery corpse over the barricade. Jesus Christ. Oh God. All the rest of the kobolds failed their will saves, freaked right the hell out, and made a run for the nearest exit, which just so happened to be a food pantry with no other exits beyond. With no other choice left to them, the kobolds locked the door and hoped for the best.
Is this door made of wood too?
The burning plague, indeed. Sit down by the fireside, ladies and gentlemen, and let me tell you a story. For last night was the night on which we broke our DM. So, fairly recently, due to the fact that we all had university and or jobs, lived in different parts of the UK, and thus couldn't easily arrange meetings to play D&D in person, we chose to use Roll20, an online tool which basically provides everything you need for D&D. Not sponsored. Now, with the virus and lockdown measures, it's come in very handy indeed. Anyway, point is, because we're using this new platform and getting accustomed to it, our DM decided to do a pretty basic campaign, The Lost Mines of Phandelver. We're a party of 3, so the DM has a character called Burbank Eastloft, which he brings in whenever the party is in trouble. He does this by having a supply of dimensional soup. He moves through dimensions by drinking or face-planting in soup. This is very relevant, as I shall reveal to you. So, last night, we were in the ruined village of Thundertree. Our session started with us being about to fight a young dragon, a creature which could theoretically have killed all of us in a couple of turns. We were in trouble. The DM had a plan to get us out of there, though. Burbank, previously absent in Thundertree, emerged from a bowl of dimensional soup, something which was only possible because we rolled high on checks. He had a scroll of teleport, so if the worst had come to worst, because it's so early in the campaign and we were fighting a monster meant for 4 8th level characters, he would have teleported us into his tugboat. The tugboat is another story, which we desperately need to hear about. It turns out that the plan was unnecessary. We negotiated with the dragon to essentially leave it alone, but ensure that it didn't attack the nearby villages, at least for a while. Initially, the dragon had planned to trick us and kill us anyway, but by a frankly ridiculous streak of luck, we left Burbank alone with the dragon while we thought through the dragon's offer. In that time, the DM rolled to see if the dragon would simply eat Burbank, or if it would be pacified. Well, he rolled a nat 20 on Burbank's pacification check. He didn't just make the dragon neutral, he befriended the dragon. Thanks to that, the dragon actually had to honor its offer, bound by a dragon mark, essentially. The DM cooked it up to make sure the dragon would keep its word. He got the name from Eberron. We got to take a magical dwarven axe, which we gave to our dwarven monk, which is awesome, and Scarper without having to fight the dragon. And moreover, the dragon would not attack nearby settlements for 50 years. That was supposed to be an incredibly difficult combat encounter, one we'd probably have lost. Instead, through a mix of pure coincidence and flawless rolls, it was trivialized, and Burbank made a friend. But that's not all. Because we managed to get through Thundertree so quickly, we had time to get to Cragmaw Castle before the session ended. We'd previously looted equipment from the Red Brands, the allies of the denizens of the castle, so we disguised ourselves and made our way in. The sentries had rolled so poorly that they didn't notice us until we'd sorted out our story. That we'd fled from the village of Fandalen to bring news of a defeat and request reinforcements, and introduced ourselves to them. We managed to persuade them that we were telling the truth. One of them took us to a pair of hobgoblins who also believed us and took us through to the king, who also believed us and gave permission for us to take 5 goblins as reinforcements. We then lied to the hobgoblins, saying that the king had given us permission for us to send the entire garrison to Phandolan. They believed us and mustered that entire garrison. We then sent them off in the wrong direction with an inverted map. We sent them in the direction of Thundertree, where they will hopefully be killed and eaten by a very pissed off dragon. Those goblins will not be seen again. So now, instead of a challenging dungeon filled with angry goblins, we only have to deal with the king before rescuing Gundren, the hostage who was our original contractor. Oh, and an owlbear. Here's where the DM really was just broken, of course. See, while we were sending off the goblins toward their inevitable demise, Burbank was present, and we'd left him as a sentry to warn us if anything was amiss. Instead, he saw a door. Curiosity overtook him, and the intrusive thoughts made him open that door, happening to go into a room which had a giant f***ing owlbear in it. Once again, he should have died. Instead, a few perfect rolls later, our party goes back into Cragmaw Castle, one of the most difficult early game dungeons to find. Burbank Eastloft, riding an owlbear. He'd befriended the owlbear. In one night, our party, nay, the character whom the DM had created to simply assist our party in times of need, had trivialized 2 encounters that should have killed us. We, the players, hadn't done so badly either, managing to persuade a garrison of goblins to desert their castle and go in the wrong direction, to where they'll probably be wiped out. We had 1 combat encounter that entire session, against twig blights, as we were leaving Thunder Tree. Our monk, having an axe which automatically deals maximum damage to plants and plantoid creatures, killed one instantly. Since the axe is one-handed, he could then follow up with a punch, and that punch killed a second twig blight. The rest just fled. Now, before all of that, during a previous session, I killed 4 twig blights on my own, thanks to my Horde Breaker perk, leaving the monk and the other character, an artificer, to clean up the dregs. We then fought 4 ash zombies in the old tavern. The worst thing that happened was that the artificer got sprayed in the face with ash, and despite that disadvantage, managed to get off an attack which killed a zombie. We got through Thunder Tree and most of Cragmaw Castle without once even getting as low as half health. The DM is, as far as I believe, recovering from the psychological trauma as we speak. We need more stories from you, Joseph Harrison! Give us more! Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know. What is your best D&D story? Come on, I am pumped for these! Let's hear some in the comments. I am ready to rate a whole crap load. Love you all. See you next time. Bye for now.